Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the latest in the series of format in-house recruitment webinars. The subject of this webinar is going to focus on how to build the business case for careers site investment. As usual, joining us on the webinar is Account Director David Johnston from Format, or DJ to his friends. We're also lucky enough today to be joined by HR and recruitment expert, Mr. Matt Alder, who has advised numerous resourcing professionals over the years on how to drive the issue of career site investment within the business. As always, the webinar will last around 25 minutes with time for questions at the end. So please do feel free to type any questions as we go along and we'll respond to them once the webinar is finished. So I'll hand you over now to Mr. Matt Alder.
Thanks very much, Jamie. Just switching over to my slides. If you just give me 2 seconds. There we go. I hope you can all see them now. Thanks very much, guys, for having me on the webinar. I'm just going to talk for about 15 minutes about career sites, how they've changed, and just really give you some thoughts on building the business case for investing in your career site. I know from my experience of working with lots of different companies that it's always something that's somewhere on the agenda, but very often I know that people struggle to get the investment they need to really improve their site. For those of you that I don't know, 2-second introduction to me. I'm an independent consultant. I work with lots of different companies. Career site consultancy is really kind of a core thing that I do, and I've done for more years than I can remember. I also run a podcast on the future of recruiting, and every week I have a different guest on talking about some aspect of talent acquisition. So, career sites. Now, I just wanted to start by giving you a few things to think about, particularly if you've been stuck with the same career site for a number of years. And that's really thinking about how the environment in which we're operating in has changed. The first thing to say is the world has become a very, very noisy place. So all of the digital channels, or in fact all of the channels that we use for recruiting, a real challenge to get the attention of the people that we want to talk to in an age of digital noise and distraction. Huge amounts of distractions out there that are stopping the candidates you need from engaging with your recruitment messaging and your recruitment process. In fact, there's so much noise and distraction. Some recent research has told us that the average human attention span is now at 8.25 seconds before people before there's a danger of people getting distracted. So I think I've been talking for at least a minute now. So if you're still listening, congratulations on having a longer than average attention span. Also, just in terms of what the web looks like and how people interface with it and the experiences that they expect. Mobile, fantastic user experiences that we have in all aspects of things that we do on the internet are really the new normal. The expectations of the audiences that you're dealing with in terms of the experience that they're going to get from coming to your careers website has really sort of rocketed, has really gone through the roof in the last in the last sort of 2 to 5 years. So another kind of important consideration. Something else that I'm sure many of you are currently experiencing. On the screen now, you'll see a graph, which is from the World Economic Forum. And what it's basically saying is that over the next 5 years, recruitment is going to get harder. Across the board, it's going to be harder to find the right candidates to join your organization. Now, I think this study was actually done before the Brexit referendum, and all of the data certainly that I've seen coming out of various sources since that has really said that over the next few years it's going to be even harder to hire and find talent in the UK. So really now is a really important time to be looking at how you can improve your career site and really kind of bring it up to speed to be working really well in the current recruiting environment that we're dealing with. Now, in all of the research and all the work that I do about talent acquisition, the model on the screen is really the best way that I've come up with of describing how the best companies do talent acquisition digitally. So you can see it's about getting the attention of the people of the right people, the people who are right to fill the vacancies that you have within your organization. It's about persuading those people that you are the organization that they should be joining and that this job is the opportunity for them. And it's about converting that interest into an application or a registration or some other kind of expression of interest that you can then bring into your recruitment funnel, your recruitment process. And running all the way through that is giving people a great experience. As I said, people's expectations of the experience that they're going to get has gone through the roof. And if you don't give people a great experience, there's a very, very strong likelihood that they'll drop out before they get through the process. So I think this is perhaps a good starting point. How do you benchmark what you currently have as a career site against this kind of model? And I'm sure that you may find that you have some of these problems. So in terms of attention, what are you doing to help you stand out from your competition and to stand out from all the other sources on the web that people can go and find for jobs? So, doing that benchmarking, understanding, where you sit in your industry is a critical thing to do. Persuasion. On the screen, there's a kind of a dummy, job posting that you might find on someone's career site. Is that really persuasive? What is where is the persuasive content on your career site? You're working very, very hard to get the attention and the interest of the people that you want to speak to. What is your career site then doing to persuade those people that you're the organization for them? And finally, conversion and experience. Some of you might recognize this particular screenshot as being the kind of starting page of a reasonably well-known ATS. I see a lot of companies who do a lot of work, brilliant work around recruitment marketing, but they're losing lots of the conversions they could make because their applicant tracking process that starts in their career site isn't kind of geared up to converting that interest, and it isn't very user friendly. A little bit more on that specifically a tiny bit later in the presentation. So, just a kind of bit of background for you, just to then give you some thinking about what your career site is actually for. It's always interesting to me that there are lots of organisations who haven't really thought through what their career site is for. How does it help them with their resourcing objectives? Pretty much everyone I speak to knows they need to have something on their website talking about careers, but they've not really kind of drilled down and thought about specifically what the objectives are. So just to give you some really sort of top line examples to get you thinking. So in terms of the attention part of the model, your careers website is where you're showcasing your employer brand. It's where your recruitment marketing activity leads to. You could be doing, all kinds of advertising or activity within social media, and ultimately you're sending people to your careers site to find more information. And of course, as part of that, your career site is pushing specific jobs and vacancies. In terms of persuasion, well, it's a place that should have compelling content, something that sort of really draws people in, gives them an authentic view of what the employment experience is going to be like. And really, a lot of this is also about persuading people that perhaps you're not the company to join. So I know that a number of you on the webinar may have issues with too many applications, and to me that's something that you should also be looking at your career site to fix. It should be persuading the right people that this is the right employer for them, and people who may not be a good fit in the organization or might not have the right skills, experiences and values, it should be clear that it's not the right place for them. So persuasion is really, really important, and obviously the third part of that is selling the actual, benefits to the person of coming to work for you. And then finally, conversion. And I think this is critically important when it comes to career sites now. With so much other activity going on all over the internet, in social, in terms of recruitment marketing, thinking of your career site as the conversion engine for all of your recruiting activity is an important mindset. And even those of you who are, direct sourcing via LinkedIn, ultimately the candidates that your recruiters approach will come to your career site to find out more about your company. So even in that sort of workflow of recruiting, the career site is important in terms of, converting that interest. So, I said I'd come back to the conversion thing. It's worth noting. Obviously, we're talking about building a business case to build a new career site or enhance your existing career site. A lot of your career site functionality will be provided by your ATS. It may be that you're not currently in a position to change your ATS, and that doesn't have to have a detrimental effect on your career site. There are lots of ways that ATSs can be configured. There are lots of there's lots of technology out there and ways of making your existing ATS more user-friendly and making it drive more conversions for you. So you're not necessarily stymied because you have an ATS that doesn't currently work in the way that you want it to. And then finally, we talked about experience, and really, your career site is the hub of an exceptional candidate experience. It should be where, people go to find all the information. Where they apply, it's the window, the gateway into your recruitment process. So, the experience that you give people on the career site is a key part of the start of the candidate experience that you're looking to provide for people. So just a few final points in terms of, I think I've sort of given you some context, some reasoning behind your business case, just a couple of practical points to finish off with, and then I'll sort of hand over to DJ, who's going to talk you through, some case studies. First of all, when you're thinking about any kind of career site redevelopment, it's really important to align your objectives. So I talked about thinking about what your career site's for, but you should also be thinking about how your career site can help you achieve your resourcing objectives and your KPIs, whatever they might be. So whether that's cost per hire or time per hire or quality of hire or whatever it is that that success is measured by within your organization. A key part of building the business case is understanding how your career site can drive the success of those objectives, and what you need to think about to make sure that happens. So to me, that's a critical first step, and you'd be amazed at just how many organizations haven't necessarily thought about that when they go through this process. The key factor that I think it helps to do very early in the process is to build consensus. For whatever reason, career sites tend to be the one resourcing activity that a very large number of different stakeholders within the business want to have a say about. So whether that's IT or marketing or communications or whoever it might be. So it's kind of really important to sort of build that sort of cross-functional team, to pull people together who might have a different view in terms of achieving a common cause. And one of the things to think about in terms of that might be you've thought about how the career site is aligned to your resourcing objectives. If you could think about how your resourcing objectives aligned to the objectives of the overall business, then you've kind of got a joined up way of thinking that should help you, persuade the other, the other parts of your organisation that you might have to persuade that the career site should work in a certain way. So I think building that consensus early, and this is easier in some organisations than it is in others, but it's still an important thing to do. And the final thing in terms of building the business case is working through, what the actual return on investment is going to be, and that's obviously critical for many of you in terms of securing a budget for this activity. Now, this doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a complicated thing. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be something that's very, very difficult. I won't go into it too much now because I know that DJ will be talking to this in his slides. In a second. So that's everything from me. I'm going to hand you over to. DJ now, and then I'll kind of be back at the end to help answer any questions.
Thank you, Matt. So just following on from what Matt was saying, let's look at some practical examples. I mean, my role as an account director at Format is very much working with our clients to actually look at how their websites and their career sites are performing, the return on investment, where candidates, successful candidates are coming from that turn into hires, but also at the early stages of, I suppose, the planning, and this could be several years in advance. I've spoken with many companies over the years who are looking ahead to actually build the business case to actually create a new career site. So really what I wanted to show is a little bit of a practical way in terms of how several of our clients, we've helped them actually justify or actually look to how they're going to fund a career site. So the first slide I've got here is really effectively fairly simple. This is an example from a client we've just started working with and how we help them. So they're a national retailer with quite a few brands, some well known, some not so well known, with a good, strong in-house recruitment team. They also, like a lot of retailers, a lot of the actual day-to-day recruitment of customer service assistants is actually managed out in the fields, so to speak, so by the actual stores. So this is roles that they actually recruit for as a centralized in-house recruitment team. And they have, like most of you, will be putting together your budgets, your workforce planning for the next coming year. And they put together the various different grades they're recruited, so grade 1 to 4 at sort of like general levels, and then director level as well. They looked at the volume that they were using in terms of recruitment agencies, and also looked at their spend in terms of general marketing. And those are the two main areas that we look to sort of, when we're talking to people, look at, okay, what if you reduced that spend, how much of a saving could it make? And as you can see here, we've got the average salaries, we've got the actual agency fee, so many of you will probably have similar levels. The projected agency use was based on their current agency use. And then in terms of, as you can see, they're not massively agency reliant. They're what I would call fairly average. But then, they looked at, okay, well, if we could trim that slightly, what are our objectives we want to do in terms of reducing that? So, it's not massive drops. So we're looking at reducing, by a third, the sort of like, not entry level, but the next level up, where the bulk of their hires, so there's experienced people within the business. And then, as you get more senior in terms of team leaders, managers, professional hires, for head office, IT, HR, finance, etc., qualified people. We basically looked at where they would ultimately want to start and trim a little bit. And ironically, the one area that we, in experience, that we see is actually that first level, director level. It's quite interesting that we've seen quite a lot of agencies reduced at this level through a good career website and engaging with people at this level. So it's surprising actually that a number of people have actually managed to save money here by providing more of a headhunt service, but with the career website providing good quality information. Number of hires, and then effectively you can get two costs. You get the 2017 agency costs without career site, so business as usual, and then the potential savings with a new career site. And then you look at the cost savings, and very quickly you've got a substantial amount. Now, a career website's not going to cost near that value, but it shows the potential that could actually be realised. So it's not just about in terms of paying for the actual career website, but it's looking at the actual overall return on investment. And basically these reductions are based on our experience in terms of working with other clients in terms of what they've realised. Because the one fundamental thing that we're going to see with a new career website is that we're going to start increasing actual traffic to visitors to that website. The traditional website that's integrated in with an ATS will, when we see a new career website that's optimized around search and social and Indeed and Google, we're looking at uplifts of in excess of 50%, and a lot of them actually doubling of traffic. The other area in terms of savings is what I call this, I suppose the other cost is in terms of online advertising. So like for like, so this is an example of where they're spending at the moment. And one of the key things is, you might notice here that we've got Monster and Total Jobs here, and totally removing those from the 2017 budget. And the reason for that is quite simple. If you look, that Reed is still there. Reed, very well known, heavy TV advertising and online advertising. And generates a lot of direct traffic. Whereas Monster and Total Jobs, where we've seen examples in the past where direct employers are using them, actually what's happening is Indeed is driving a lot of their traffic, and with a well-optimized career website, Indeed you can drive traffic direct to your career website. So there's almost a case of the argument of why pay a job board to pay Indeed to drive traffic to them and then to you. So it's something that I go back to my about 15 years ago in recruitment, when I was sitting in-house and actually looking at budgets, and made the very nervous decision to reduce our job boards and in fact cut them out. And actually with a good career site, we actually saw that disappear, and actually we didn't notice it. And then you've got other areas. So again, they were spending an awful lot on Indeed job advertising. So again, using LinkedIn more as a direct sourcing tool and sharing content to engage people. Because one of the things we found is that actually when we're working with clients who are publishing good quality content about showing insight, actually most of the click-throughs are to content rather than specific jobs. So they looked at reducing their reliance on the actual job side of things and focusing on using it in a more effective manner to show people what it's like to work at their business. And then you've got areas, campaigns. They were looking to reduce anyway and use, instead of having to build specific campaign websites, they actually use the career site to create campaigns within it, so it actually becomes a lot more flexible. So it gives an indication that actually by just trimming and just looking at your budget and working on the basis that your career site is going to actually drive a lot more visitors through to you and a lot more people that are interested in working for you, actually it becomes the actual hard facts start to stack up. Actually you can find the money relatively quickly without having to kill any major sources that you're actually working with at the moment. And we know that for the reason that, as I mentioned, where a company is traditionally integrated with their vacancies on their applicant tracking system, so in essence hidden from Google, and it basically means that 95% of your visitors are actually searching for a job with you. They know that they put in whether it's Oracle, whether it's Tesco, whether it's Empower, or whether it's Atkins, they've already, they've just said, okay, I want to work for you, and they've typed your name in. So those people know about you already. What we want to do is basically look at attracting people that may not have immediately thought about you as an employer, and they're looking for a job in a specific area. So they're typing in examples like customer service jobs, civil engineering jobs in Bristol, accountancy jobs in Reading. And what we found with clients when we've upgraded their websites and we've optimized them around search and good quality content, is that actually what we find is around 35% of visitors arriving on the site are now using their brand, but really what we're actually seeing is basically 65% around that mark who are actually searching for job titles, job families, jobs in locations. So they're specifically looking for jobs in particular areas, and they in the past would not have found that company's career site. So the uplift primarily comes from that, and the reason we know this is because when we look at analyze actually the website traffic coming in, less than 20% of people would actually land on a homepage with a new optimized site, whereas in the past people were literally the gateway was through the homepage. So it was all branded because people couldn't find the jobs, they couldn't find the content, or everything was happening out on LinkedIn or on Facebook, and they were coming back via the homepage. So what we've done is effectively we've made sure that the funnel is as wide as possible. And as Matt said, you then look at engagement through good quality content to actually engage with the right people and help self-filter the people that may not see you as a suitable employer. They may not be the right type of person. So that's how we sort of like know that we can filter in those sort of reductions in agency use, in job board use, and effectively spending off-site, because you're actually investing in what the heart of what your recruitment engagement practice is. So to give you some example in terms of people that invested in career sites with us, View, one of the top 3 cinemas. Basically, they were integrated with Change Work Now originally. The website's been live about almost 3 years now, and effectively, it was designed to really attract people that wanted to work in the cinemas, the bulk of their recruitment, to make it easy for people who are looking for jobs in cinemas to find it. And after, literally the website traffic started growing from go live, and after the first year and continued, it's up 85%. It's almost doubled the amount of visitor traffic, to the point that they don't actually need job boards that often, certainly not for the customer services team. So they've effectively reduced their reliance on job boards by half, which in year one more than paid for the actual career website, and helps to continue that. So they are somebody that they get around in excess of 30% conversions now into actual applications, which was about half of that before we actually launched this website. So not only has the visitor traffic gone up, but the conversions. Icon, clinical research, very niche market. Again, integrated with one of the well-known applicant tracking systems. We saw on Go Live, in the first 2 years, website hires have actually increased up 70%. So they're now seeing that around 50% of their external hires come through the website, and the remaining 50% of that is they still use agencies, but they also focus on internal. A lot of referrals, and their internal career sites helped drive that. But what was very apparent after the first year was that they did not need to rely on the LinkedIn advertising. So it was a considerable spend, and they could actually, the website supported their recruiters who was direct sourcing. A lot of very specialist people, and the website helped to drive people back to that. And they're recruiting about 2,000 people a year. Empower is this website. Career site is now 6 years old, believe it or not. They were very agency reliant, as you can see from direct hiring when before the website went live and the new model was implemented, was 2%, hugely agency led, and they reduced that to 15% and 85% direct hiring within a year, and that meant a phenomenal saving of 2.4 million. So, an example of where a very agency-led business has transformed itself. But one of the things that was very, very key here was the fact that literally within the first 6 months they did not renew any of their job board contracts, and that was a physical saving of £150,000 per year, because they were driving those people through Google and Indeed. The analytics that we have together with the sites, shows us not just in terms of where, the fact the website's attracting people, but we can also tell what is attracting people to the website. So we know for people like Empower, for example, 30% of their hires coming through the website are coming from Google. We know that 5% are coming from Facebook. We know that 20% are coming from Indeed. And then we've got obviously direct traffic in the corporate site as well. So we've got really powerful data that not just helps them understand what the return on investment is, but actually where that's coming from. So I hope that gives a quick sort of like summary of just in terms of how, in terms of practically going about looking at where the savings could come from and how you can justify where the spend, but also how that return on investment is actually generated. So, from that, literally, we can say an optimized career website, an enhanced career website can increase website traffic. By doing that with the content that Matt was talking about, it increases conversions, getting the right people through, because it's not just about volume, it's about quality. It helps to reduce that job board spend, whether that is completely, or whether that removes your reliance on what I call the generalists and you focus on the specialists. It helps reduce LinkedIn spend and target that spend effectively. It certainly reduces agency spend in terms of your reliance on that. Helps the time to hire, quickly reduce that, so you can react as quickly as any recruitment consultancy can, because you can advertise a job, you've got a well-optimized website, people can find it and apply very quickly. And what that does is gives the recruiters more time for direct sourcing. So essentially what you're doing is, if somebody is actively looking for a job with you, or has got an idea that it might be like to work for you, they will find your career site. And that means that the recruiters have got more time to focus on direct sourcing, the really niche, the difficult to find people. And ultimately, it continues to increase your direct hires. So, with that in mind, I'll hand back to Jamie, and any questions?
Thank you very much, guys. Yes, we've had some questions come through, so this obviously caught people's attention. Before we move on to the questions, somebody did put a remark that, that some of the audio they were having trouble with the audio on their end. So just to let you all know, if any of you experiencing that as well, we'll be sending on a recording of this webinar for you to review back at a later date at your leisure, perhaps share amongst your teams. And the audio is crystal clear at this end, so you'll be able to hear all of that as we come through. So, and also while we're on that subject, as you've attended this webinar, we will be forwarding you on as well our brand new ebook. Formats ebook that's looking at things like how to build your business case for investment, essential features of a career site, and how to measure success. So go into a lot more details of things that we've covered today. So hopefully that will be useful to you. So we'll go through the questions that they've come in. So the most recent one of the attendees would like a little bit more information on how View achieved their results, DJ. So I think that's one for you.
Say again, sorry, Jamie, could you say it again?
So somebody would like a bit more detail on how View achieved those results. Obviously, great results. They probably deserve a bit more how
I think, I think with View, it's actually very simple. We could see one of the things is that they've got a lot of local traffic. So there's a lot of people actually looking for cinema jobs in localities. So what View have is their career website has a lot of what we call landing pages optimized around cinema jobs in. So we optimize it around so people that were actually looking for cinema jobs in East London, South East, Sussex, but also Farnborough around locations. So things that we could basically, when they launch a new cinema, they could create landing pages around specific town locations, which they then used in terms of promoting in cinemas. So I think one of the classic ones that cinema they did was they have a mobile site, an adaptive mobile site. So when you're in the cinema and you have the trailers beforehand, View were originally doing sort of like, turn your phones off, and then they were running adverts saying, we're looking for staff, and it went to a non-mobile optimized site. So what we basically did, we changed the slides in keeping with the cinema site, and actually started promoting, you're looking for a job, type this, it was literally a shortened URL, so viewcareers.com/Farnborough, for example, and you could apply, you could find jobs directly in the, on your phone. So it was a little bit of a play on the fact that normally it's going to turn your phone off, but actually they look to engage with people on their mobile side. Their ATS, which changed right now, had a nice simple mobile apply. So something like, I think it's just over 35% of their website traffic is mobile. So the combination of search, making sure the jobs are visible in Google compared to the competitors, and actually playing some tricks so that they actually came up when people were searching for Odeon jobs. So there's a little bit, just by literally talking about the different types of cinemas and the history of cinemas, meant that they could attract candidates. So hopefully that gives some insight into how View did it.
Excellent, yeah, and if obviously anybody wants to get in touch, we're more than happy to take them through that in more detail on a one-to-one. Had some more questions come through where you're answering, so guys, please do feel free to type away if anything springs up. Someone's asked, we hardly use agencies currently, how do I justify the investments that way? So presumably they haven't got to take away the agency spend, so how do they justify a new career site then?
I think this is a good one for you, Matt, is it, in terms of around the content and brand?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you have to realise that currently the career site is central to all of your activity. I'm guessing if someone isn't using agencies, they must be using other other sources of hire. So presumably LinkedIn and things like that. And going back to my presentation, the concept of persuasion and conversion, I think, are critical. So a lot of this is about getting the right candidates through the process. So, it's about getting your employer brand out there. It's about persuading the right people that they should join your company, and also making sure you're properly converting any interest that you're generating. So I think that having an enhanced career site that does all of those things will massively help the rest of your recruiting activity, and it will help you get the quality of candidates you need going through your recruitment funnel. So you really can't bypass a career site. Potential hires will be looking for information about your company, and it's important that you're there to kind of inform the message around that.
And I think adding to that, actually, I think it's about, you're going to be, as Matt said, you've got people going to be coming to the career site to find out more. And I think it's having a career site that, in the same way as Amazon and e-retailers do, it's tapping them on the shoulder and making it easy for them to see potentially suitable jobs. So, it's cross-pollination. You may not be agency reliant, but if you get attracting the right candidate and making sure they can find the jobs easily, or even making sure they can see the jobs without them having to search, it all helps engage and convert the quality applicant, and then ultimately turn them into a hire.
Excellent, really helpful. Thank you very much. Someone's sends a question in. What is the typical timescale of implementing a new career site?
Always ask this question, especially if somebody's been through a long and torturous applicant tracking system integration. Typically, one of our career websites are rolled out in around 20 weeks, and that's fairly standard. Sometimes they're a little bit quicker, depending on how the design, in terms of how prescriptive the brand is. Sometimes, if it's a larger platform with multi-languages, it's a global platform, with different regions and different languages, it'll take some longer, maybe 24, 26 weeks. But certainly majority of our sites are rolled out in 20 weeks.
Excellent. And we've had this other question come through. How do I know where my hires are coming from?
I think this is something when you start looking at, and a lot of people do this already. They're very good. So, some of the applicant tracking systems are set up to capture the source of people, but obviously some aren't. So we do it in two ways. We can not only track what website has referred that person to the career site, and then when they turn into the application, we pass that information on into the ATS. So, for example, we do that with classic ones at Taleo and Lumest, where we pass that through. So it means that they can be reported on. But also, what we do, which really adds some value and comes back to what Matt was talking about, engagement. We can also tell how somebody's actually arrived at the site in terms of what sort of content and what sort of content they've engaged with. Very important when people are looking to justify return on investment with social and social media and content creation. So we can tell people not only that they've come from Facebook, for example, or LinkedIn, but we can tell them that actually what really engaged them first was the fact that it was a piece of content, and they first landed on the site about 3 months ago, and then in the last 2 weeks, 2 weeks before application, they started coming back more regularly, and actually turned from reading content to actually searching for jobs. And a job was the ultimately what converted them, but what attracted them was actually a specific piece of content. So we can capture that data, and if their ATS can't capture that information, that we can't pass it through or doesn't hold that data, then we work back with good old-fashioned reporting. Companies provide us with a list of all their hires, the email addresses for their hires, and we can then match those up with the applications that come through and give them back a report that has all their hires with the originating source and what sort of content, what piece of content, and what sort of content they actually wanted. So we can provide a lot of insight into what's actually working in recruitment marketing.
Excellent. Kind of leading on from that, actually, we've had another question come in. What must my career site absolutely have?
Wow.
Yeah. Let me. I'll start picking up on that. I'm sure DJ can add on at the end. I think in my job I do a lot of auditing and benchmarking of people's career sites, and to me I think that compelling content is so important, and I think traditionally with career sites we've been very focused on text, and really I think that the best careers websites use video really cleverly, and really think about how they can make the copy that they do use as compelling and as persuasive as possible. So for me that's kind of the top item, that compelling content that persuades.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I think I think content is in lots of different forms. I mean, Matt's mentioned video, and we've got some great, people give sort of like, quick, less than a minute intro with their staff, on an iPhone or whether it's professionally done, just a quick in terms of why I work here, what attracted me, and what I'd say to somebody who was joining. It works really well if somebody's a customer service assistant and they can see videos of other customer service systems. And there's other really clever ways of doing it. But I think also, it comes back to, one of the classic comments when we do research, in terms of candidates say, "Oh, don't make me search for it." It's really, I really have to hunt for the content, find the information I want. Make it easy for me to find jobs, but also make it easy for me to find out what it's actually like to work at your organisation. Where is my desk? What is my window? What am I looking at? And what am I doing? And where am I sitting? And what the team's like? So I think those, just making it simple and easy to use and linking that content together is really important, because, yes, people are interested in jobs, but also interested in content. And the other big bugger I've just mentioned, sorry Matt, before, is
That's right.
writing adverts rather than job specs. That's the one thing. A job spec is not an advert. So I'll say that's the one thing. Make sure your career site has jobs that actually are adverts rather than a spec.
I just wanted to add one thing really quickly. I think the thing about this question is we could geek out about this for quite a while. But yeah, one of the things there's a piece of research that's done every year in the Netherlands. It's called digital recruiting research in Dutch, but I can't actually pronounce what that is in Dutch. And for the last 10 years, they've benchmarked what makes a great career site and what works. And there was one interesting statistic that I sort of got from last year's research that I wanted to share, which was actually describing what the recruitment process is like. And what they found was 25% of visitors to to career sites actually won't apply if there isn't something on there that tells them what to expect in the recruitment process. So how long people will take to get back to them, or just what stages that there are in that process. And I thought that was really interesting, and it kind of it's a simple way of upping your conversions and improving the candidate experience just by setting people's expectations around the recruitment process.
That's a very good point, actually. Expectation, yeah. What to expect next? I think that's a really good fact.
Excellent, thank you very much. Well, we've just had one more question come in, but it's requesting a copy of the slide deck, so you guys don't need to worry about that. As we said before, we will be sending out a recording of the entire webinar for you to refer back to, and we can also send the slide deck, certainly, so not a problem there. And as I've also mentioned, we will be sending our ebook to you in due course, which goes into this topic and others in much more detail. So you'll have everything you need there, and then obviously we are fully contactable to have a one-to-one conversation should you want to. So unless we get another question arrive in the next couple of seconds, I'd like to say thank you very much to DJ, and a special thank you to Matt Alder for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we will be hosting our next webinar in around a month's time, and we'll be in touch in due course on the subject of that. And thank you to all the attendees for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks you. Bye bye.